Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Captain Logan Show. I am indeed Captain Logan. I want to apologize to everybody for the early broadcasting tonight, for the late notice. Danny needed to get going earlier tonight, and it was between starting an hour early or not having Danny, so I elected to do it this way. So, again, want to apologize to everybody after the fact. If you had planned on making it at 9 Central, and you show up and, oh, we're almost done with the show, or we've stopped broadcasting, sincerely apologize. Hate that we had to do that, but this is going to be the regular time from now on anyway. And Danny, initially this week, I had planned on actually going to 8 Central anyway, except, long story short, Danny and I had a thing we were going to do before this that ended up falling through anyway. And we could have started shooting at 8 all along. So, I don't know. Scheduling tonight was all kinds of snafu-y, but there are some folks in the comments, so thanks so much for being here, everybody. We have enough questions to get started. Hopefully, some folks will start to pop in. And I bet, Danny, that we'll have some people tonight that usually can't make it because we started as late as we did. So hopefully, this will be nice for those folks.
Yeah, for everyone who's able to make it on such short notice, thank you. For everyone who misses the show live and has to watch it after the fact, it's my fault. I apologize to everyone. I gave Cap like,
and this isn't that like joking thing where I blamed everything on Danny. This one really is Danny's fault.
No, this is 102% on me. This is all my fault because I gave Cap no notice that, hey, I just can't go until like 10 o'clock Central tonight. It's just not going to work out for me. So, you know, everyone can blame me for this one, sincerely. So don't get mad at Cap over any of this.
But that's okay, Danny, because it speaks to at least how much I appreciate you on this show. That I'd rather have you on here than start an hour late. Like, I'll do this show by myself when I have to. I just don't like talking by myself for a whole hour. Like, I'd much prefer to have somebody to bounce things off of.
Which is hysterical because the show started off as just you talking for an hour.
It did, yeah, I know, but I got spoiled by having a producer. And also, I get to more questions, and we see, you know, some of the better questions that we'd miss otherwise if it was just me trying to moderate my own chat. So, I mean, like, some of it is having somebody else to chat with, and some of it is Jeffrey. $2 super chat. Danny Nixon did nothing wrong.
Well, I'd love to say that he's telling the truth because Jeffrey Patron would never lie. But I did do something wrong this time.
Danny, I'm not trying to throw you under the bus. No. You didn't do anything wrong. It's just you are the reason we're broadcasting earlier, but I'm not upset about it. But anyway, so yeah, Danny is fired after this show, and that's going to be quit. No, of course not. Anyway, hi everybody. Thanks so much for being here. Some more people pouring in as I kind of waste time waiting for some more people to make it into the chat here. I want to do a couple of house cleaning things real quick. The Geekvolution Omnibus is new this week. I am still in the middle of editing it, so that should start to pour in tomorrow night at the earliest, possibly even as late as Friday morning. Hopefully not that late. I'm going to try to start getting it out tomorrow. That's usually what I aim for. So wish I could do it toward the beginning of the week, but it just takes a long time to edit that show, or at least to get it exported and posted because it's so many hours. But Halloween theme this time. That's why I've got this I Want to Believe poster in the background as opposed to my normal Batman stuff, because I set up a horror backdrop for us this time. So we reviewed a bunch of horror movies, and I talked about the Nightmare on Elm Street films and a lot of cool stuff on that show. So look forward to it. Also wanted to put in a quick plug real quick for video game fans in the audience. I just did, and it should be posted in a week or two, a show last night on the Genesis Gems Patreon on Knuckles Chaotix, which is at this point a somewhat obscure Sonic game on the 32X that I grew up with, and Danny did not hold up as well as I was hoping it would. So it was fun to talk about, but it was not as great of a game playing experience as it felt unfinished in a way I never noticed before, and I was like, oh, they didn't quite get done with this game. So if you want to hear me talk about that, you can become a Genesis Gems patron for just $1 a month over at their Patreon. I wanted to give their Patreon a plug because I'm going to be one of the new regular co-hosts there for their Patreon show, and I'll show up on their regular show at some point. Genesis Gems. They do reviews of Sega Genesis games. So anyway, check that out if you are so inclined. That's another place you can find me somewhat regularly now. And why don't we go ahead and get into questions, Danny? I don't see any super chats yet besides the one that was taking up for you. So why don't you go ahead and throw us a pre-written one, and we'll get the show started.
Okay. From J-Man, Cap. Who is a great Halloween superhero? Meaning a superhero who reminds you of Halloween in some way.
Superhero that reminds me of Halloween. Moon Knight might be a good one. I've always associated Batman with Halloween. I mean, that's maybe the obvious answer, and not just because of Long Halloween. I mean, when I when I was growing up and that came out and I first saw the cover, I was like, well, yes, of course, there's a Halloween Batman story. I mean, it makes a lot of sense that we keep doing Halloween, and we do Christmas a lot too. But like Halloween shows up quite a bit with Batman stuff because obviously, it's gothic, it's that kind of theme and atmosphere, and we associate and compare Batman to Dracula and vampires all the time. So anyway, Batman's kind of the big obvious one, and probably part of the reason I like Halloween as much as I do, Danny, because I have that close association. But can you think of some other good ones?
A couple people have said Spawn, Hellboy.
Spawn, naturally, yeah. But Spawn, it's kind of a toss-up whether or not you can count that as superhero. It kind of just depends on what mood McFarlane is in. But but yes, of course. I mean, Spawn would be kind of the definitive Halloween superhero if he was indeed unquestionably a superhero.
And if we count the Van Helsing movie as a superhero movie, which it really tries to be, you could maybe throw Van Helsing in there.
But I need you to not say that out loud, because I don't want requests for that for Rewind, because I will not do that movie on Superhero Rewind, or at least I really don't want to.
So I'm like Eric when he first saw it. I really like that movie.
You really like that movie?
I really like it. It's so campy in a way that it doesn't mean to be. I love it. It's just, maybe campy is the wrong word. It's something, man. I enjoy it.
Don't you love that he could make those kinds of mistakes early in his career and it didn't hurt his career at all?
I know.
I mean, that was a mistake.
Yeah. Everything about that movie is a mistake, but
he wasn't the right casting choice, I don't think. I mean, like, I like Hugh Jackman, but what were we thinking?
Yeah, it was. What studio made that? Because it kind of feels like he was good in this one movie, so let's throw him in another one.
Well, I thought that was a Universal thing.
That's what I thought it was, but they don't use any of the looks from the classic Universal stuff, so I wasn't sure if.
But that wasn't stopping Dark Universe either.
Well, no, I mean, like, because all of those characters are pretty much public domain, anyone could theoretically make that.
That's true. No,
they just couldn't use classic, like, Universal horror look of, like, Frankenstein with the green skin.
See, I didn't know if it was that they couldn't or if they were just trying to be all stylish and updated and stuff.
I think if it is Universal, I'm sure it's them trying to.
Okay, I'll look it up. I don't know this. This is the thing I don't know. If Eric was here, he'd be able to school us and he'd tell us 15 other factoids about this movie, because he knows about monster movies and he loved that when it first came out.
Man, it's on my rewatch list as far as like Halloween coming up and everything.
Are you serious? You're gonna go back and you're gonna waste time watching that movie?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Your whole plan?
Yeah, it will be my.
Well, like, I don't mean to be judgmental. You can watch whatever you want to, buddy. Yeah, it's wait. No, I don't know if it is yet. Hold on, I'm still looking. Yeah, it's Universal.
Okay. I kind of figured after we started talking, I was like, well, no, of course it would be Universal.
Other people in the comments, Madman, it's Universal. Like, yeah. It's
we should have just looked there. They know before we do.
Universally, people other than us knew that this was Universal. Okay.
We've got a super chat from Thomas Edgehill. He says, thoughts on James Gunn joining Suicide Squad? Have you looked at Manifest yet? Have you gotten Lego DC Villains? Your channel is the most thoughtful channel on YouTube. So 3 different questions. First, your thoughts on James Gunn joining Suicide Squad.
Well, first of all, thanks for the compliment. I really appreciate that. So I should first say that there's going to be a lot of stuff that comes up tonight that I have already weighed in on the Omnibus that hasn't posted yet. So I try to put up news real quickly as one of the first videos that go live in the omnibus. And for folks that don't know how the omnibus works, I post all of the segments of the omnibus as separate videos. You can watch them in a playlist where most of them are at first not live, and then they go public each day. One will go public, but I try to put up the news early, obviously, because it's timely. So anyway, this I have already talked about, and you'll hear me talk about it again later, but I'll talk about this briefly. Danny, it's kind of like, I don't know at this point, and maybe I'm changing my tune on this a little bit. I don't know at this point where I want James Gunn to go. It's not that, like, it seems like I'm with Eric on it. It seems like the obvious place to put him, and like he may make a more a less convoluted movie and a more cohesive film, and it might be, you know, a better movie overall. But that's going to be just, if that's the case, it's going to be as much Warner Brothers finally just letting people make movies, like it seems like maybe they're starting to do, and not having, like we were talking about last week, so much micromanaging. And so there are a lot of other people that could make that movie, and it kind of feels like they're just going, okay, it's another movie with, like, I don't want to say the Guardians are straight up anti-heroes, but with, like, not, you know, straight up heroic characters that are kind of screw ups. And it's a, you know, it's an ensemble team thing, and it's kind of pushing the boundaries of PG-13 in some ways. And obviously his sensibilities with some of his earlier movies make a lot of sense for Suicide Squad. So I think he'll make a good movie, but it's hard for me to get excited about that. And some people might disagree with this. I kind of wanted to see him take his cosmic sensibilities and make something like less comedic and jokey. Like, I wanted to see him do a cosmic movie, but not necessarily a comedy. So in some ways I wanted to see him do something. So I said earlier that I'm kind of changing my tune. I'm changing my tune in that he's getting put on exactly the thing you'd think he would. And I said earlier, like, well, there's lots of great things you could put Gunn on at DC based on Guardians. But the more I'm thinking about it, the more I just want to see him do cosmic stuff, because he proved that he's willing to go to weird out there places that might not immediately seem like the most like commercial friendly things. I don't know what you think, Danny.
Yeah. Putting him on Suicide Squad seems like that's so obvious we didn't really think about it. It's like, oh, we've got James Gunn, put him on Suicide Squad. That's our team franchise. I'm kind of with you. I'd like to see him in Green Lantern. I'd like to see someone who isn't afraid of going to the weird comic book places, handling something that is a little bit more out there. Because Suicide Squad, you can get away making that one the grounded, like, yeah, we've got these prisoners that we're using really immorally and with plausible deniability built into, you know, how we're using them, and not really need someone who's got necessarily his sensibilities to make it a good movie. Like David Ayer could have made it a good Suicide Squad movie, I think.
Yeah.
So I'd kind of like to see him give.
And I would like to think that Warner is where it is right now. David Ayer may have made a good Suicide Squad movie.
Yeah. DCEU just makes me sad.
I think a lot of that was just time and place, right?
Yeah, there was a lot of just missed opportunity and micromanagement going on with a lot of those early films.
So yeah, it seems like the obvious choice. Hopefully he makes a great film. But I mean, you know, I guess I'm glad, and like, you know, different people feel differently about the firing. I want to say I'm glad he got work right away, and if he wants to do more comic book stuff, that he got to do more comic book stuff. I don't know what he really wants to do versus just what's available to him. But at the same time, there wasn't really any doubt in my mind that he would get picked up immediately. I think we heard a couple of weeks later he was getting a lot of offers already. So I think he had his pick, and I think that's what he went with.
See, I feel like the second the news dropped, I was already hearing stuff about so-and-so was making him an offer. Oh, he should go jump ship to DC. I was like, there was no time wasted there. So it doesn't hit me as a surprise at all. The next part is, have you gotten Lego DC villains? No, excuse me. The next question was, have you looked at Manifest yet? I skipped.
I'm sorry. I spent a long time on that, and he had two other questions. That's I suppose a way to make the most out of your super chat. That's a real economical super chat there. No, I've not looked at Manifest yet. I think Thomas might be the guy who mentioned that before. Thanks for reminding me. I'll write that down and try to look into that I am bombarded with things that I'm watching for review right now, so I don't know that I'll find time in the next couple of weeks to look at anything new like that, but I have written it down and I will take a look when I can. And thanks for reminding me about Lego DC Villains. I will probably run out and get that soon. Usually with the Lego games, I wait a while because they go down in price really fast, but that looks like such a big and different game for them that it's hard for me not to want to play it right away.
The next super
Although
chat.
I don't know how much, let me say this real quick too. I don't know how much interest there is in my getting a review of that out right away, but part of the reason I want to go ahead and play it is because I don't know, I kind of want to talk about it if it's great. But anyway.
The next super chat, staying on the James Gunn topic, with from Grady Childs, with Gunn on Suicide Squad, maybe his idea, Grady Child's idea.
Yeah.
McFarlane in Guardians 3 and playing Adam Warlock might become a reality. It would be interesting. I'm assuming he means Seth MacFarlane, because I remember
he's talking about Seth MacFarlane. Yeah, I mean, again, like I said before, that was kind of an interesting notion. I don't really have anything to comment on that. I have a hard time seeing that Seth MacFarlane playing that character, and I don't love him as an actor. I think he's doing a really good job on the Orville, but like the idea of him directing that movie was a real intriguing idea to me. But I still don't think it'll happen. So yeah, but like I'm way more interested in him in the possibility that you raise of his directing it than I am of him being in it. But if he directs it, he'll almost certainly be in it. He does that.
Yeah, it's weird to think of Seth MacFarlane directing a technically Disney movie, but Disney just bought Fox, so everything he's done is now technically Disney.
Well, that's right, yeah. And you got to expect the lines to start blurring really hard. I mean, it looks like I'm wrong about what I said in the first place. I said when Fox gets bought up by Disney, they'll be allowed to act autonomously. That does not seem to be the case.
No, it seems like they're just straight up getting dissolved in.
Yeah, which is not what I thought would happen with it.
No, because Disney tends to buy it up and let them do what they do. Because they're buying them because they were successful, I guess.
And they're huge. They were a rival studio. I don't know why they're folding them in like that. But a lot of people are worried that a lot of the big franchises they love will get kind of thrown away, and they won't think to make a movie in for a long time because it doesn't fit in like the Disney mold. And I just hope it means that moving forward, and like Disney keeps saying, we're not going to mess with Deadpool. Like if we make more Deadpool movies, they'll be Deadpool. Like we're not scared of rated R stuff. I hope it just means that Disney is more versatile and they're just a studio and they make every kind of movie.
Yeah, and I can kind of see why Fox would be the one exception to the rule of leaving everything alone, because they were a competitor and so much of what they were doing kind of directly rivaled stuff that Disney in general was already doing. So there'd be some of that self-cannibalism sort of like you got your two things and they're kind of competing with each other. I don't know, like ideally my best case scenario is Fox gets bought up by Disney and kind of becomes the new Miramax, and it's that wing that we do the stuff that we can't really do under the Disney branding. No,
I wouldn't have thought to put it that way. That's a really good point.
The next super chat from GameStation 3. I tweeted you, he tweeted you, a fantastic deleted scene shown in the Spider-Man 3 editor's cut. Check it out if you can.
Yeah, so like I said, I watched part of that movie at one point and it wasn't different enough to me to keep going. So I might go take a look at that. Thanks for the super chat. Thanks for sending me that. Yeah, a lot of folks, Danny, still continuing to really talk up that editor's cut like it makes the movie way better. Like I don't know. It's just I have a lot of conceptual problems with that thing in the first place. Like I cannot get excited about watching another cut of that if the story is not drastically different.
Did what's his name? Grace, the guy who plays Eddie Brock, didn't he supposedly do a edit of this Spider-Man 3 as well?
He did, yeah.
The Star Wars movies. Okay, that's the only different cut I'd like to see, and just because it's totally
that's kind of interesting. But no, Eric and I tried to watch it. We got an hour in, and we're like, I mean, we're noticing some minor differences, but it's not like Again, it's not like Daredevil or something where there's like an entire subplot cut out.
Yeah, that's my thing is if I went back and watched it, it's been so long since I've seen the original cut of 3. I'd have to go back and watch 3 so I know what the differences are. And I don't want to dedicate 2 viewings to that movie.
Yeah, exactly. No, I mean, my thing with Spider-Man 3, I mean, I guess the biggest thing is if you're still retconning the origin like that, it's already just really difficult for me to watch without cringing. And then if Spider-Man looks like a murderer and then the movie acts like he's a hero at the end, or he learned something when he didn't, and if his and Mary Jane's relationship is just the most awful thing, like, obviously none of that's kind of like, you need to cut things out of that movie before you need to add anything. And there's maybe some better takes in things, but I'm sorry guys, I just can't get excited about it.
Pandora with a super chat says, thoughts on Teen Wolf season 2?
I'm not going to comment on that right now. I did that a couple weeks ago. Somebody asked that question, so I've already answered that. And sorry about that, because I know it's a super chat, but I was watching that a couple weeks ago. I've had to move on to some other things lately. So I'll get back to it. I guess I'll very quickly reiterate what I said before, which is I'm starting to lose interest. It's okay. It's just, I think it was maybe a little bit too much of that show all at once. Like the first season binged fine, and I started tuning out middle of second season. I cannot get excited about it. So I wanted to take a breather from it because I wasn't sure if I was giving it a fair enough shake. But I think the novelty of it just being better Smallville is starting to wear off on me, and I'm starting to see some of the typical TV stuff that is in that show shine through a little bit. It's again, it's not bad. It's just like Teen Wolf fans, I just need you to understand that it's not my cup of tea in the first place. It's not my bag in the first place. And so I'm of course having to adjust some to appreciate. I don't mean lower my standards, just I know I'm watching a thing that's not my thing. And so I think it was just kind of too many hours of that show, and I had to get away from it a little bit, but I'll get back to it. I said I would. What else, Danny?
Do you want me to go to the next group of super chats, or do you want me to get a few pre-written questions?
Would you go to some pre-written? Yeah.
Okay. From RC Films, what are your guys' favorite horror comedy movies?
Horror comedies, the big obvious one, and I haven't seen it in a long time, but of course is Young Frankenstein.
Yeah, would you count Monster Squad as?
Yeah, I count Monster Squad, sure. I didn't know you were a fan of that.
I went and watched it after I heard yours and Eric's review because I was like, oh my god, this is the type of Halloween movie I want to see, and kind of fell in love with it. And I love the Read or Die logo I got to do based on that. So that's my favorite show.
Yeah, I love that so much. We turned it into the new name for the book show. Yeah.
Yeah, that's probably become my favorite horror comedy. I kind of like some of the kids' horror Halloween stuff, like some of the Scooby-Doo stuff that's more comedic and less about the horror. Some of the Alvin and Chipmunk stuff, but that's more of campy Halloween than horror comedy. So
yeah, of course. I like the Addams Family a lot.
Oh yeah, that's Nightmare Before Christmas.
Of course, yeah.
Count that in that list, yeah.
It's got a weak third act, but of course it was super innovative in style and music and visuals and animation. It's so weird. I think Nightmare Before Christmas might be one of my favorite flawed films, because if I sat down and tried to write an analysis for that, I think I would go crazy. Or it would just hurt my feelings. You know what I mean? There's all these things I'd love to read into that at the end of the day, I'm giving it way too much credit.
Yeah, it'd be one of those things where you're picking apart something you really love, and you're like, oh man, this doesn't work at all, but I love it so much.
Yeah, and it's crazy how much of a phenomenon it was and how giant of a classic it is. And that's not a cult classic. That's a classic. Have you seen all of the Nightmare stuff that's come out this year for the anniversary? It's insane how much merchandising there is. It's everywhere.
No, but Chris Sarandon was at my local Comic-Con, so they did a showing of the movie, and there was a whole bunch of
that's awesome.
With a whole bunch of stuff about that. So I kind of got inundated with that at that con, and I was like, I'm not gonna it's never been something I was a huge fan of, but I like it. So
yeah, no, same here. But I mean, But like I adore the soundtrack. Like I think I like the music in that movie more than anything, and character designs. I mean, Jack Skellington is one of the greatest designs in animation, I think. But if and some of that's just, it's so simple. He's just a skeleton guy, but a really distinct skeleton guy. But no, like I can't go anywhere without seeing Nightmare stuff right now. It seems like it's in every store. It's nuts. But what I was going to say is, it's really interesting that it has that classic status, and most people seem to really love it. And I think it's kind of a compromised story. Like that third act cannot be what it originally was going to be. Like every time I watch that movie, I find myself seeing like a lot of the same things that I see in a lot of movies that get kind of compromised and watered down now, where you're like, you were going somewhere else with this.
Yeah, I checked out the last time I watched it around the third act, and then it ends. I'm like, it's over already. Yeah,
it's kind of too short.
Well, it's a kids animated thing. I would expect.
No, I know that, but story wise, I'm saying like it feels kind of abrupt.
Yeah, it does. It kind of, I don't know.
I don't mean that weird. It just ends. It kind of degenerates into like a real typical. I'm gonna get some flack for this because I know people love this movie, but it kind of degenerates into a real typical like, you know, hero fights the bad guy third act, and the bad guy comes out of nowhere.
Yeah,
and suddenly there's a bad guy in this movie. That's not what this was about.
Yeah, it just kind of feels like it just. All right, here's all this kind of fun stuff you like. Oh, now it's over. Now we got to get to now we got to start wrapping stuff up. Now we got to do the big climax of it. So,
you know, and then you start asking. I'm just reviewing this movie now. Then you start asking like questions about the kind of I don't know, ambiguity or arbitrary nature of the badness and the horror stuff in Halloween Town, where it's like, oh, they're not really. And they even say that in the opening song, like they're not bad, they're not mean, they just like this kind of horror stuff. But there's kind of a like thin line that people are walking, right? And then because at the end I find myself wondering if Oogie Boogie is really that bad for that place. But
yeah, I kind of feel like Jack's not the greatest. I mean, you could kind of call him a villain. He sends kids to go kidnap Santa. So
yeah, but like everything's relative. And so like, yeah, compared to Christmas Town, which is confusing because is it Christmas all the time? It seems like it's just the one time a year. It's like Christmas Town is just normal world and Halloween Town is Halloween Town. That's confusing.
I wish we got to see Easter Town just to see if there's a Phoenix in there.
Oh yeah, the Easter Phoenix in Easter Town. But the last thing I'm going to mention about Nightmare Before Christmas, do you not think, like, I don't even think that was a question. I don't know why we're talking about this. Would I? Oh yeah, this started from horror comedies we like. So but hey, it's my show. I felt like talking about this. So don't you think that Nightmare Before Christmas is one of those things that very easily could have had like a TV show? Yeah, like certainly a sequel, but like with the setup of the doors and the different dimensions and stuff, like it'd be really easy to do an ongoing series with that.
Yeah, it seems ripe for that, like kind of the Buzz Lightyear and the Star Commanders type of thing, where we just do an animated show kind of spinning off from it that's not really connected and does not really have a whole lot to do with it. Because that seemed to have been
was really popular, and that didn't seem like a thing that immediately screamed kids animated show to me.
No, not Beetlejuice. Nightmare Before Christmas a lot more so.
Forget my tangent, folks. Let's move on.
Yeah, since we spent a lot of time on that one, I'll go back to the super chats real quick.
Okay,
you're good. That was ended up being a good question. I was almost going to save it for the Halloween themed one of these that we do since Halloween's on a Wednesday.
Oh, are we doing a Halloween themed one? I didn't even know that.
I just assumed since it's on a Wednesday. I kind of assumed.
Producer Danny just makes all the decisions.
Producer making the executive decisions.
If Halloween falls on a Wednesday, we'll have to decide exactly when we're going to shoot that, because I got to take my kids trick or treating first.
Oh yeah,
we'll figure that out. But we may do. I may have to do a later one that day.
Yeah, special Tuesday showing maybe.
Yeah, something like that. Sure. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, the next super chat from Mr. Roboto. Now that we have a Joker and a Joker, comma, Thanos, Solo, yes, Darkseid. So I think he. Now that we have a Joker, Thanos, Solo, yes, Darkseid. So I think he means a Joker movie, Thanos movie, Han Solo movie. I guess he's asking for like Darkseid.
That sounds boring. Like a movie where Darkseid's the protagonist. But yeah, this is a perplexing question, and of course, with these super chats, with people kind of, and I appreciate the support for the channel, of course, but people trying to be kind of economical with their spending. Every word counts. I do not completely understand this question. I have to be honest with you, because okay, so like Joker, Thanos. When you say Solo, are you talking about that movie, or are you saying solo villain movies? I don't know what we're talking about here. Or if it's just well, we've got a Joker movie happening and a Thanos movie, and it happened, so surely we'll get Darkseid and stuff. Like, because Justice League didn't perform, there's no talk right now about Darkseid. I don't know where you would even put him. Like we're gonna have to eventually get to another Justice League at some point before we get there. Now, Danny, I would make the argument that when that finally happens, Darkseid will almost certainly be what they finally do, because they were supposed to do that in the first place, and they dropped the ball on it.
I think if that New Gods movie by Ava DuVernay happens, that's where we'll see him.
Do you think?
Yeah, I think so.
Honestly, I kind of forgot all about the New Gods thing.
Everybody did.
Yeah, that hasn't been brought up in a while. But yeah, if that does still happen, no, you're probably right. Well, I mean, what else would you do, right?
Granny goodness.
Well, yeah, but if you're gonna do a New Gods movie and it's cosmic and in space, it would be really weird if you did Granny Goodness or whoever and didn't go to Apocalypse, or if you went to Apocalypse and you just kept Darkseid in the background.
Thanos is on vacation. He's off conquering other worlds. He's not in Apocalypse right now. Yeah, who did I say?
You said Thanos. You made the same mistake I did for a second. Yeah.
Well, when the R-rated Daredevil movie and the Deadpool Netflix series happen, so will the Thanos in Apocalypse.
I mean, one is a clear answer to the other one, of course.
Yeah. Yeah. The next question, and I don't know how to say this without being self-aggrandizing for a second. The Vampire Diaries asks, thoughts on Danny and Malik as artists, and how did they come to start doing art for you on the channel? I think I'm a great artist. No, I'm kidding. No, Malik is super talented. I love seeing his stuff. But yeah.
Malik's been sending me stuff for a while, and he would send me a piece of art, and he'd say, I mean, at first it started as stuff that he just really wanted to see on the live show, or on the Omnibus, and I think, or no, actually, it started when I started bringing Rewind back real hard, and I needed drawings. That's what it was, Danny. You did several, and then I put out a call for art. That's what it was. And then he sent me a few, and then he started really getting into the digital art thing, and so he would, like, I don't know, watch a movie or be thinking about a character he likes, and he'd be like, well, eventually when you get to this rewind, you should use this piece of artwork. And yeah, his stuff's been really great. He's actually working on something for me right now. So the first thing I've actually asked him to do, he's working on a thing for me right now. And then we've talked about this several times already, Danny, but I'll let you tell the story real quick if you want to, just real briefly.
Yeah, sure.
How you got involved.
So basically, I used to be a higher tier Patreon supporter. Financially, I was in college. I had to like cut back on it. So I was like, you know what? I'll put a couple of t-shirt designs together, send to Cap so he can sell them and make some money, and kind of make up for the monthly amount that I wasn't going to be able to be a patron for anymore. And it went from that to he asked if I could turn one of the shirts, the turtle torture time, was it called?
Yeah.
Design into a thumbnail, since those videos were getting flagged and taken down. And
that's what that was. Yeah, it didn't even start with let's have thumbnails on every video, did it?
No, it was. I did that, and I was like, I've kind of got some ideas for your other series, so you can have something kind of more uniform, so it's easier to like navigate when you're looking at it for the viewer. And it kind of just went from me doing a couple of the main things to we're doing the omnibus, so we kind of need something to help differentiate each section, and I just kind of went from there and just kind of became a full-time Geekvolution artist.
Yeah, and as I've said before, I could not be happier with that situation, and you've been an absolute lifesaver, Danny. Like the omnibus looks so much better having those and like being able to differentiate those different segments. I mean, now we break up the videos. We used to post it as one big thing, and so it was nice to have those because you could kind of move around and tell what show or what segment was happening based on the logo. But I don't know. I think it looks more professional. I think it adds some color. It looks a little bit more, I don't know, official. I've come to really like watermarks.
Yeah, they like every new thing I've designed for you. I've tried to keep in mind, like, how is this going to look straight white as a watermark?
Yeah.
So when it gets put in that corner, it doesn't look too weird. Like I love the Primetime Crisis logo I did because it's the Crisis on Infinite Earths logo, but it would make a terrible watermark.
Yeah, I think I actually even had to ask you to do a different logo because of that.
Yeah, I just pulled one from one of the old things that you were doing for Primetime Crisis, I think. Like one of the old fonts or whatever.
I forget now. Danny's probably made 35 or 40 logos for us. It's been a lot. And he doesn't just send me the logos and make and then I make the thumbnails. Danny makes all the thumbnails.
Yeah, so everything is basically just, we need omnibus number this, and I go out and do all those, or hey, I've got a new video I'm about to post. I need a one-off. So, which
reminds me, remind me after the show because I got a thing I got to talk to you about that I forgot all about. But it's not going to be difficult. But there's just a thing we've got to do, and I got to mention to you anyway.
Yeah, is it the watermark that I need to get you?
No, it has to do with the show I was talking to you about before this.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah,
okay, yeah.
We got to talk about that because the format has changed. So I'm gonna need new thumbnails for that.
Okay, cool.
Sorry about that. Anyway, we'll talk about it. Sorry, we're doing business in the middle of a live show.
There were 2 super chats that got the messages removed.
Oh no!
The person removed it. I guess they had spelling errors or some reason. I missed it.
Maybe they got cold feet. They're like, well, I'll support Geekvolution, but I don't actually want my name read on camera.
Game Station 3 says, let me make sure I didn't miss any other ones. Yeah, okay.
I think there might have been another super chat we didn't do.
Well, I'm going.
Or you just not getting to it.
Yeah, these are the ones
I see Mr. Weeping. Oh, okay.
Yeah, Game Station is above them.
I'm sorry. Carry on.
He says most of the editor's cut for Spider-Man 3 changes are in the second half.
Oh,
so that's probably why you didn't notice.
Okay. I might take a look at it. There are a few people that are still really on me about this.
Here's the one from Mr. Weeping Dalek. This is the last one, I say. Yeah. When are you doing a Last Jedi commentary?
I'm not going to promise that ever happens. I don't know. I don't have plans for that right now. We've done commentaries on all the other Star Wars movies, so maybe eventually it'll happen. It's just one of those things where like it's so polarizing, and people and like a lot of people on both sides of that argument are still kind of at each other's throats and stuff. If I do it, I kind of want to wait until we're even more past it, and the embers have kind of cooled on it. Because I mean, like, Danny, I don't know about you. I mean, I'm still seeing a lot of kind of bitterness about that whole thing.
Maybe it's because of the people I follow on Twitter, but yeah, I'm seeing a lot of people who just can't let it go.
It's like we're still arguing about it. Yeah, and the thing is, it would kind of because I mean, once again, obviously most everybody here I'm sure knows this, and I've reviewed this, I've gone on record. Like I don't care for that movie. I don't think a lot of it works. And my part of my worry is that it's kind of a low-hanging fruit thing where like I might do a commentary on that, and Danny, I might get accused of the same thing you're talking about, where it's like, well, you just can't let it go. Well, no, people ask me to talk about I'm gonna tell you what I think about it. You know what I mean? Like, there's no politics here for me. Let me just say that. I mean, like with the Star Wars thing, it's not me like attacking anybody or having politics about Star Wars. I'm giving you my honest opinion about a piece of cinema that I don't think is very good. That's it.
Yeah, I'm glad I'm not on the hook to have to do this, and no one wants to hear me talk about it, because I don't care about the movie at all. Like, I walked out of the theater and immediately forgot about it. And like, maybe this says a little bit about me. The people that I'm like politically more inclined to agree with are very much on the side of like, it's great. If you don't like it or treat it as a masterpiece, you're wrong. And I'm like, I don't care. And I don't want people to come down on me as like being on some kind of political kick that I'm definitely not on. Like, there's no way to side on that movie where you're not going to get attacked from one side about politics over a movie that really wasn't about politics in the movie, I don't think. And I just, man, that just doesn't seem like a commentary worth making to me. But I'm not on the hook to have to do it. So that's my little soapbox.
Like, I don't like the feeling that there's things I have to avoid because of politics, or because, you know, I might accidentally give people the wrong impression about like my motivations on a thing or whatever. Like folks, I've not changed with this stuff. I just call it like I see it. And I don't want to get into this, Danny, but I just think it's really telling like where, you know, what the state of particularly internet culture is right now, but just kind of the state of the world where we find ourselves right now, that we're taking movies and things so seriously that where you land on a side, like where you land on liking a particular film or not can like ruin friendships and reputations. And I don't know, that bothers me. I think it's dangerous. It's hurt my feelings some. I wish I wish I could say, sure, I'll talk about that movie. I've got things to say. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. But so I hesitate on it a little bit just because I kind of don't want to have to deal with the old arguments again. You know what I mean? Like, it's not that, and I don't mean about the film itself. Like, I'm perfectly happy to, like, you know, say things and hear rebuttals or whatever. It's more just, we had that with this and Ragnarok, where there were like I don't like either of those movies, and Eric and I both had this where people would kind of call us out and, you know, assume things about our motivations and things, and I'm just telling you what I thought of a movie. That's it, you know. That's all I do here. So anyway, I don't know. It's a weird place to be in. I'll say that. I would honestly, like, I would enjoy doing that commentary if I wasn't worried that I would be self-conscious about it.
Yeah, and that's one of those, like, you can't put the genie back in the bottle. Like, if there was no exposure to any of the outside stuff that's going on with the reaction to that movie, I'd kind of like to hear more people talk about it, because
it would be there's stuff in that that's kind of fun to talk about, you know, and like it's not that it's not entertaining, because it is.
And the fact that it's got such a strong reaction on both sides of, I either liked it or I didn't like it, you know, ignoring any political agendas that may be attached to that. I kind of like hearing those, because it's one of those things where it can fall on either side. I like to hear people debate those kind of things about movies, but, you know, that's just me personally, and whatever. The next super chat from Malik Myers. Hi, Malik. We were just talking great things about.
Hello, Malik.
If you're just joining us, which rewind would you rather do? Force Awakens, staying on Star Wars, or The Matrix?
The Matrix, certainly. But that's one of my favorite films. And Force Awakens is weird because, and Malik and I were talking about this last month. He was considering asking me to do a rewind on that. I'm gonna take because people keep asking me about rewinds with Star Wars films for whatever reason. Danny, I don't know why people want me to talk about Star Wars. That's a thing too. I'm not a big Star Wars fan. I don't know why people want me to talk about Star Wars.
You're getting the stars mixed up. He's the Trek guy.
Yeah, exactly. I have done a requested Star Wars rewind. I've never done I've never done a rewind style review on a Star Trek film. It's never happened. Crazy. Nobody's ever asked for it. Yeah. So I mean, I guess I could just do one if I wanted to, but like most of the stuff outside of superhero have been requested things. But with regards to Force Awakens, it's a thing where you have to put two different hats on. You have to talk about it like pre the next movie and post the next movie, where it's like, well, now that I know where it's going, like here are the threads that don't end up getting paid off and stuff, and so it's difficult to say like it's a third of a movie, it's part of a movie, and then the next movie comes out and it's like 4 movies. It's not like the next act of a 3-act story, it's like 4 movies. And so no, that is not a thing that would be fun to talk about in isolation. I would have been waiting if I wanted to write about that movie, and I didn't, but if I wanted to write about that movie, I would have been waiting for the next one to come out, or like the next 2 to come out, so they had the whole piece. Because some people complain about, people would say like Raise a Mary Sue, or the movie doesn't get enough done, or it's too much a carbon copy of A New Hope, etc., etc. And I kept saying, whether you like this or not, it's a third of a movie. It's the first act. It's not done. And I don't think I can make any of those calls until I see where it's going and what like the mysteries are, because of course it's an Abrams film, so it's got to be all about a mystery, right? And then you get the next movie, and it didn't seem like that director really wanted to deal with some of that stuff, and so he went in his own direction, whether you like what he made or not. And so it would be a very strange thing to talk about in isolation. The Matrix is a movie that stands alone and should not have had sequels. So,
it doesn't have sequels. What are you talking about? There is no Matrix sequel. There is no Matrices.
Matrix Reloaded is a weird movie for me, because it's not a good story, but I enjoy it immensely, and I've kind of got some nostalgia for it. It's not a thing I would want to have to write about, probably, but like that would be weird. And certainly not Revolutions, and it's awful. But like I don't know. I have a guilty pleasure thing with that. Like if somebody asked me what my biggest guilty pleasure movie was, it might be that.
Yeah, and I've actually never seen Revolutions. I think I might have seen Reloaded maybe once, but I've only ever like really sat down and watched.
Like I was working in a movie theater when that movie came out, and it was a really big deal, and the multiple Agent Smiths thing was fun, even if it didn't look very good in that one scene. And but yeah, they had to retcon things enormously, right? Like immediately we completely depower Neo just so we can make a movie. And so it becomes a huge problem. Like it becomes a really problematic movie 3 minutes in, where you're just like, oh, so the only like you have to kind of pretend like the end of that last movie isn't what it is. Like they have throwaway lines to make it work, but it doesn't work. Oh, upgrades, right? So you have so you have upgrades for your agents that make it so that Neo doesn't look at the world the way he does. Okay.
You see, there was a software update, and the root file for Neo's unlocking that ability got lost somewhere. No, I don't.
and the architect's speech is one of my favorite things ever. It's ridiculous, but I love it. So much fun.
The next super chat, and I think this catches us back up. I said,
okay, cool.
Going to be another one that pops up. David Crabtree says, "Hey, Cap and Danny, missed the early start. That's my fault. Working on some comic book stuff tonight. Awesome. And getting ready to watch some Trek-nado Star Trek V commentary."
Thanks, man. Yeah, we just got that posted earlier today. So check that out. Brandon and Adam and I talking about Star Trek V finally. And we're going to try to record Star Trek probably next week. So that should come up in the not too distant future too.
Don't ask me why, but I was reading that as Sharknado for whatever reason in my head, even though I said Trek-nado. I was trying to figure out what does that have to do with Star Trek.
Yeah, it's not like Danny hasn't heard of Trek-nado. He made a logo for it.
Like, yeah, I know. I just saw the video pop up when I was trying to get to here to pull out the comments.
I'm just gonna watch some Sharknado with. Well, I mean, I did a couple Sharknado commentaries, so like you could do that, but
and they finally ended that franchise.
Did they actually finish it? I've not been back to it. I back when Steve was on the channel, he and I used to do blind commentaries for those. I think we did 3 of them, and I have only seen those movies talking over them. I've never actually sat down and watched those, Danny. They always only with a blind commentary. Only way I've seen those movies.
Never watched them. Have no interest.
I think it's probably the way to do it. I think it's the way to watch those. I enjoyed them. I think they're quite funny. Eric doesn't agree with me, but but what do I know? I was talking over them while I watched them. So
yeah, I'd have to be with a group of friends and be like heavily drinking, I think, before I'd sit down and enjoy them.
Oh, I mean, I was definitely drinking and I was talking to another person and we were, making a product at the same time. So yeah. But so like, there's certainly that clouds your judgment a little bit. I've never actually like sat down and taken them in the way they're meant to be. So I don't know. But I enjoyed that activity.
The next super chat from Grady Childs, TFA's The Force Awakens. I disdain. Okay, I have disdain for how it just casually disregards the ending of Return of the Jedi and says everything back to Rebels versus Empire. This trilogy is a step back. Yeah,
I mean, that's how I feel about it as well. I don't want to go more into it right now, but yeah, I'm with you. Yeah, thanks for the super chat.
That's a pretty succinct way of looking at it, but I get.
Although I will say, the only thing I would disagree with even remotely in that is just to say the trilogy is a step back because it's not done. Like, yeah, probably, but we've got 2 of the 3, and you don't know where we'll be at the end of that. So like, it might be a step back in some of our opinions as far as quality and where it's at right now, where the story is, but who knows where it'll get at the end of the third one. But I don't see how you come far enough away from that in another movie. Like, I'm kind of playing devil's advocate when I say that. But I always kind of resist that kind of that kind of statement before a thing is done, I guess. But I don't know. I mean, I'm sure you're right. But yeah.
I mean, the prequels are a step back just because they're in the past. And
that's true, Danny.
Both in quality and in time period. So we'll have to wait. Just on that virtue, these are a step forward, technically.
Oh, right. Mm-hmm. Danny, I'm finding likes literal humor. He is all about the literal humor.
He's
got a real Norm Macdonald thing going on, I'm finding. Guys, we've got about 7 minutes left on the clock. Danny, can you hold out for just a little bit longer?
Absolutely.
Okay, cool. Let's do some more pre-written stuff.
Yes, I believe we're actually caught up on the super chats. Here's a good question that would probably make for a really, really good GNN. Madman says, what does it mean to be, and I think you might have done this, what does it mean to be a geek anymore when geek culture and mainstream culture are so inextricably intertwined?
My goodness, what a great question. I don't know the answer to that. I mean, that's a really good question. What you hear a lot of people say now is everybody is a geek in some way.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that means everybody is, because I think there's even 2 different meanings to that, right, Danny? Like either the geek thing is so mainstream that we've all accepted it now, and we're all into things that would have gotten you beaten up in high school 30 years ago. So like there's that. But there's also, it's so acceptable to be a geek now that people aren't scared of it. And so everybody has like that thing that would maybe make them look weird to someone, but or that is kind of like that singular nerdy obsession. But we've all got one now, and so we're all geeks or we're all nerds. Like I don't know. I'm not a big fan of labels in the first place, but like I don't know what the words mean anymore.
Yeah, I feel like the term geek has gone from meaning you're really obsessed with these specific things, or these specific genres of storytelling, or this type of game or something like that, to just meaning you really enjoy a particular thing and you've made it either a hobby or an obsession of some sort. It's something that consumes your spare time. I think that's kind of what the term geek has meant now, or just I get really excited about this thing in an even more general sense. Like you hear just in like pop culture, just I'm geeking out far more in just a meaning of, oh, that's really cool. I'm geeking out over.
It's crazy how much things have changed, Danny, because the first time I heard that was in the Incredibles movie. I'd never heard that before. And I thought that was such an innovative term. And it's everywhere now. And I think it's more accurate to say that everybody geeks out than it is to say everybody is a geek.
Yeah, I would agree.
Because I think the mainstream is accepting stuff they didn't used to accept, but there's still a difference in personalities, right, between people who maybe casually get into a thing or are like an aficionado on a thing. I don't mean that's not the right term. I don't mean like an expert in a thing. I just mean like somebody that's like really into a thing that like they almost like live it as part of their life, you know, not in like a horrifying like it takes over, I can't tell the difference between reality and fiction way. I just mean in like I wanted to know everything there was to know about Star Trek, and I spent a lot of time with it, and I made just like that one show like a major hobby, as opposed to just film as a hobby, you know what I mean, or television as a hobby. So you have a lot of people that enjoy those things casually, but at one time there weren't as many people that would just enjoy superheroes casually or would just enjoy Star Trek casually. Now there's a lot there's a lot more of those people, and it's more accepted. And as I've said before, I sometimes worry that with that acceptance, there's pros and cons to everything. With that acceptance of like geeky lifestyles versus just geeky culture, I think there are some people that think that kind of makes it justified to be kind of antisocial, and that like you know, the geeks have won, so like acting in an antisocial way is now just like okay and acceptable, and I resist that. And I'm not saying that that's true across the board, but I think there are some people that kind of use that as a justification now, where it's like, see, we were right. Like it's okay to be like obsessed to the point of not being able to relate to people or get along with people. That's not good. I don't know if you agree with that, but I think that happens.
I think that might just be the nature of how the internet tends to create echo chambers of any sort.
That's
like,
maybe fair too. Yeah.
You know, and that I think contributes a lot to how everyone is a geek for something. Is like, if you like knitting, you can find a place to connect with people all around the world who like to knit. If you like comics, you know, or more traditionally geeky things, you can certainly find that at online Comic Cons. You know, you can find a group of people discussing any hobby. I am a wrestling fan. More specifically, I'm a wrestling belt fan, like the belts that are used. Like, that is a hobby in itself.
Yeah, sure.
And there are a lot of people into that one specific hobby. When I first discovered wrestling, I never would have thought that was a hobby. So it just kind of goes to speak to everything can be, you know, turned into a geekdom of its own right. And I don't.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that, because and this is my last point on this. Maybe we're not all geeks, but we're certainly all fans, and that was true before this with sports and stuff, which is of course the main other hobby people tend to bring up when people get made fun of for being geeky about something, where it's like, but what about people that paint their face for sporting events? Isn't that the same thing?
Or how fantasy football is just D&D for jocks. I've heard that around a lot.
Yeah. Or, you know, people might at one time might have, maybe some people still do. Like, I don't want to put everybody in a box and say that all the stereotypes are completely gone either. But you know, you might have some people that would like make fun of you if you were like a little bit miffed or upset because there was a really crappy episode of your favorite TV show. But it's okay to like treat everybody like dirt the next day after your sports team loses, which I've ran into a lot. Yeah. I used to work in a place where if our college basketball team lost, you just couldn't talk to anybody in the hallway. It was like zombies were attacking or something. Like, it's like it was the end of the world. Yeah. I don't understand that.
And here in Texas,
like, and what we're talking about is extreme behaviors, right? That seemed way more extreme than most of what I ran into in geeky circles. And I'm not saying that there's that some of the stereotypes weren't and aren't sometimes still true, and it's problematic. And that's why I'm saying we shouldn't use it to justify like bad behavior or antisocial behavior. But I didn't run into a lot of that, where it's like, oh, my comic book got canceled. I can't talk to you anymore. Like I don't want to see you today. I don't know. I didn't run into a lot of that.
I don't know. I seem to be finding that more now that every TV show has its own dedicated fan base, and if there's a really bad episode, you can be guaranteed that some discussion about it is going to get really, really bad. Like, oh, this Arrow episode was awful.
Well, and once again, we see a lot of that on the internet. I don't know if in person I've seen a lot of that.
I don't know if I've seen more people take more extreme opinions, both in favor and out of favor of movies in person as I have on the internet. Maybe that's because you tend to talk to people right after they come out and it's like, yeah, that was all right. Or the very few people who like, yeah, I absolutely hated that when I saw it. But after they've got more time to think about it, maybe that just feeds into that some more. I don't know.
That's a really great question though. There's a G and N in that. I might write that down. We might consider doing a whole show on that. Danny, let's do well, there's another super chat.
2 more super chats from what I'm saying.
Okay, let's go ahead and knock those out and then call it a day, yeah?
Yeah, works for me. Kellen O'Rourke says, caps lock. Cap thoughts on Iron Fist's cancellation.
Man, I just gotta say, I hate it when people use the caps lock because I can't do anything. Like, I can't get into my house. I can't I can't work. I can't do it. And the caps lock is the worst. And then I'm just shouting everything.
Why are we yelling?
Shouting everything. Okay, so Iron Fist cancellation. It's funny because we talked about this briefly on the Omnibus, which again will come up later this week. But we were running out of time, so we didn't actually do a whole segment on it. So the Iron Fist I don't think it was like 4 a.m, so I don't remember. The Iron Fist cancellation is weird because on one hand I kind of want to be excited because I don't have to worry about anybody ever asking me to watch more of that show again, except maybe I will, because what I read, and I don't know if you've read about this, Danny, is that there's a lot of talk about moving it, and I don't know if that means completely rebooting it or what, but doing another Iron Fist show on the Disney streaming service. So like the big headline was, well, the character's not dead. They still want to do more stuff with him, but they want to do something on the Disney streaming service. Now, if it's a complete reimagining, even with that actor, even if it's in that same continuity, I could be won over on it as long as it's actually a kung fu show and it moves at a little bit of more of a clip. That's really all I want from that. But I think it's preposterous to say this was like the plan all along, or this only happened because of the Disney streaming service. It was what, a month or less than a month after that second season came out. Clearly, like, that timing is crazy. If it's not because of either ratings or backlash or just lackluster interest after that season. And I don't know. It'll be interesting to see if they attempt to resurrect that character. There's obviously no talk about that within Humans.
Yeah, I was about to say, this is the second Marvel TV show that's gotten canceled. Is this the first?
It's the third, but it's the second that's gotten canceled because probably because people didn't like it. Because Agent Carter would be the other one.
Oh, I thought that just ended because they didn't have more story to tell. I didn't realize it got flat out canceled.
No, it got canceled. Okay. There had been talk about a season 3, and I never actually finished that show, but I don't think it ends in any real definitive way. I mean, they wrap up all the arcs for the season, I'm sure, but I always thought that would have made more sense to do as a miniseries in the first place. That was really weird. It got a second season.
Yeah, that was kind of my thought with it. Was it's set in the past. It's about a character that there's not a whole lot in the MCU that you can do with her. Maybe, I don't know if she's got.
Well, I don't know if you watched that show. I mean, it was really quite good.
No, I know that's what I heard was it was good. It's just it doesn't seem like a character that there's a ton of legroom to do with. So it kind of,
they set it back far enough that it was a spy show basically that was set far enough back that you just come up with a different spy scenario each season that you stretch for a season. Originally, a lot of us thought that it was just going to be chronicling her helping to set up S.H.I.E.L.D. in the first place, and it's set early enough that we just haven't gotten to S.H.I.E.L.D. yet. So you figure that's how that show would end.
I thought that's what the first season was, and was
it's not.
Okay.
Yeah, we're not there yet.
Oh, well, that's kind of a shame that we didn't at least get to that point with it.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't know. But yeah, so it's it's a really interesting thing. The way that's gotten canceled. There's and I guess you get this with everything. There's a petition to try to bring it back. It's not going to work, I'm sure. And like nothing against anybody. I just don't understand. I just don't get it. That there are people that are big enough fans of that show that they would want a petition signed. Like, people said, I didn't even finish the second season because I didn't like it. And I was just bored. People said that season ends setting up a really interesting third season. And I think a lot of people are signing that petition just to see that third season. Like, was it that interesting? And are you sure that like now finally it's going to be the show you want? Because that seemed to be kind of the resounding cry with season 2. Yeah, it's still not great, but it's setting up a potentially rockin' season 3. And I'm like, I don't know, man. I got better things to do with my time than to wait out for maybe decent material next time.
Yeah, that's kind of my rule of thumb going into a show is if the second season,
it's gotta grab you.
Yeah. Well, because we're in a streaming era, and at least with old shows, I get that you can't find your footing immediately. I give a show its first season, and if by the second season they don't have their footing or still more the same, I ditch it. I'm not waiting around for a third season of a Netflix show for it to get good. But that's just me.
No, it feels things like that, especially when they're in like an already established franchise, or an already established universe, have this almost like entitled attitude of well, you already care, so you're going to be here no matter what we do. And like eventually maybe it will get great, but I think generally speaking, all fiction should have the attitude of no one cares about your story, even if you know they do, because that attitude usually leads to better hooks and more interesting fiction in the first place. You gotta win me over. You gotta get me excited. Like, the burden of that is on you every time.
Yeah, especially when you're doing the like not second class like characters, but like your like lower tier of the MCU with a character that not a lot of people have really heard of and not a lot of people really care about that deeply. Like with Daredevil, I get having that attitude of people are going to come in anyways because it's finally bringing a beloved character into the MCU. Don't really know if you get that leeway with a character like Iron Fist, who's...
But importantly, Daredevil didn't have that attitude.
No, I know. The thing is, I could see that attitude with Daredevil. Yeah. They didn't have it, but I can't see having that attitude with Iron Fist.
We'll say this right now, and again, we're reviewing this on the Omnibus this week, but that's the attitude Titans has, and it doesn't work. But it's like Robin and stuff, and it's like dark and brooding, so it's good, right? No, it's not. Stop it. Anyway, okay. What's our last super chat? We gotta get going.
Yeah, BAG Studios, Bag Studios. I can never tell which one it's supposed to be. What Star Wars Legends material have you read / liked?
Not a whole lot. Several months ago now, we reviewed the first volume of Star Wars Legacy, which I liked a lot, and I've read just a little bit of the Thrawn trilogy. I need to get back to that, but yeah, not a whole lot. I would like to do more of that, but I just haven't gotten to it yet. So yeah, that's about it. So anyway, Danny, I think that's going to be it for us this evening. Everybody, thanks a bunch for watching. We sure appreciate it. Danny, any insightful last words, sir?
Yes, Mr. Roboto says he sent a super chat. Sorry, and
you missed it?
That's what I'm looking for. We got to your first one about Thanos, Joker, and Darkseid. Was there another one that you sent? And if so, just copy and paste it. Don't bother sending it as another super chat. You don't have to. Yeah, we'll see it. Just read it.
Just paste the text in.
Yeah, if it's one of the ones that it could have been the ones that said message retracted, because you can yourself delete your own comment, and he might have.
I don't see another one from him either.
Okay. I guess that might have been the one because that was Madman that said thanks, Cap.
We'll wait for just a second then. Yeah. Also, it doesn't let my chat scroll all the way to the top. It cuts it off at some point. So if it's really early in the show, I just don't have it.
Yeah, and I thought I caught all of those. So again, you can just copy and paste it back in here or give the, cliff notes of it if you need to, if you can't remember exactly. But I'm not seeing it, and I can't scroll up all the way either.
If we don't see him in a couple of seconds, we'll just tackle it next time, and he can send it to me in a private message, and we'll handle it next week. Guys, next week, we're going to meet at the same time we did tonight. So once again, we apologize to everybody that didn't get the memo or couldn't be here earlier. We had to start early tonight with very little notice. Next week, we're going to start our new regular time, which is 8 o'clock Central. So a little bit earlier, an hour earlier into the evening. Hopefully that'll be better for a lot of folks. And I'm still not seeing a message from him, Danny. So let's just plan to do that next week.
Okay. So
no, there it is.
Trending. How long? I guess. Oh, how long would you guess until solo villain movies start trending?
Oh yeah, that's interesting. Well, it kind of depends on how the ones that we're attempting do, right? Because we're seeing really the first of them. Venom wasn't really a villain movie so much as an anti-hero. And I mean, he was still the hero of that piece. Joker is going to be a straight up villain movie as far as anyone can tell. And then Sony is allegedly making a Kraven movie. But besides Suicide Squad, beyond that, we don't have other villain movies. And like, Danny, can you think of another solo villain movie recently?
Certainly not that was like comic book related and was very successful. Like people kind of go back to Maleficent as well.
Yeah.
A villain thing and like that. I don't know. I didn't see it.
Which is ridiculous because that's also not a villain movie. It's masquerading as one. I don't know if you saw that. It's one of the worst things I've ever seen, and I will not budge on it. I hate it so much. But Maleficent is. Oh, it was all a misunderstanding. Like, no, she's not a bad person.
Speaking of the Joker solo movie, did you see one of the latest pieces of news that broke? I'm not going to say it on here because it's a spoiler for people potentially.
I don't think so.
It was just a set photo. If you haven't, you know what I'm talking about. If you had seen it, so I'm not going to.
No, I think I missed that. I've been kind of offline a lot today, so I don't know if it's real recent. I probably didn't see it.
Yeah, I saw it right before we started the show. I don't want to spoil it for anybody who's got to, trying to keep away from spoilers. So I'm not going to bring it up here, but Cap, you're going to get a kick out of it if you see it.
Great. Wait, is it related to 89?
No, not 89.
Oh, okay.
Not 89.
Okay, well, we'll talk about it after the show. Folks, thanks a lot for watching. We sure appreciate it. We're over time. We got to get going, but we sure appreciate you, and we will see you again next week. Looking forward to reading your comments after the fact. I am Captain Logan.
And I am Danny.
See you, folks.
Bye.